everybody. Welcome back to Kouch Chronicles. I'm Kristen.
I'm Kelsey.
And that was my very first time doing our intro.
Didn't she do great? Everyone tell her how great she did.
I was really nervous.
It's episode 6.
6.
We're talking about supportive versus protective.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit deeper this week. Last week was a fun little epi.
Little silly, goofy mood. I am queen of supportive. Kristen is queen of protective.
Yeah.
And we're realizing that there probably needs to be a happy medium. So if you combine the two of us, we'd probably be perfect.
Honestly, if you combine the two of us anyways, perfect human being.
I mean, we're pretty perfect anyways.
On our own, yeah.
But we'd be even more perfect if we were combined. Where do we want to start?
I don't know. Should we do a little, catch up?
God, I just had a heart attack.
Okay. Our command strips are failing, so this picture is no longer with us.
But the good news is we're moving in March, officially the weekend of March 11th. So we will have brand new command strips.
Or we might actually put nails in the wall.
We may not even have a wall behind us. I don't know how we're going to set up the couch. I don't know. We have a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
But it'll be good. Kouch Chronicles will live on.
We will live on.
So I am queen of supportive. I will support my friends in anything for the most part. If it's reckless or gonna put them in danger, I'm not gonna be supportive, but
depends.
I feel like the example that comes to mind is my friends and people that they're dating. And I feel like that's a very common theme. That's where a lot of friendships are the balance between supportive and protective really comes into play.
I feel like that's a really good example for both of us.
Yeah, because everyone wants what's best for their friends. You want to be protective and you want them to be happy. And when they're dating someone who maybe isn't the best for them, it's really easy from the outside to be like, this guy's not good for you. I hate him. He doesn't take care of you. Why are you with him? And I definitely have felt that way about a lot of guys that my friends are dating. But I'm a big believer in sometimes you just have to learn the lesson the hard way. So I think because I've been in so many situations where I've been dating a guy that my friends didn't like or didn't approve of, and I was like, but you only know the bad things that I'm telling you, that's all they hear. And so it was easy for them to just be protective and not support that relationship. And most of the time they were right in the end. But every single lesson that I learned in these relationships has shaped me into who I am. And I think that for me, when I'm going through stuff like that, when I'm in a situationship that maybe isn't the best, I know that deep down, but I just have to go through the motions and learn the lesson on my own. And I want my friends to support me through that. I think when I've had, and I'm not talking about you at all. This is I feel like this is stuff that I learned through high school and college a lot. Yeah. But I would be dating someone who my friends didn't like, and they would make it very known that the guy wasn't liked. And it almost built resentment towards me and my friends because I knew that relationship better than they did. And in the long run, yeah, they were right. He wasn't good for me, but I needed to learn those lessons on my own, and I needed them just to support me through it. And I think when I didn't feel that support, I felt resentment. So I'm not friends with any of my friends because of this. Everything all worked out in the end. But I think for me, I just want my friends to feel like they can talk to me about anything without feeling like I'm going to judge them or get mad at them for doing whatever they're doing. I just have always been very supportive, but I've also had situations where I've been supportive to my friends in things that they were doing that were even hurting me because I'm I don't want them to feel like they can't come to me, and I want to be there for them, and I want to be a good friend, but there has to be a line where you can't always support everything that they're doing.
I think that brings us back to a whole different conversation about boundaries, like we had in our friendship episode.
Yeah.
And I think that's where boundaries come in, because I think you can be supportive while still having boundaries and not hurting yourself in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, I don't know. I've always leaned on the side of supportive. Like, I just really want my friends to feel like they have someone to go to who's never going to judge them and is always going to, like, be there. And, like, I have a friend who has been through a couple bad relationships, and um, she was dating this one guy who was awful, and she'd call me crying about him, like, every week.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been so easy for me to be like, don't talk to me about him anymore because like I don't know why you're dating him. You need to break up
Mm-hmm.
with him. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Like I'm sick of it because I don't know why you're with him. But I knew that she was going to learn that eventually. Like she
Mm-hmm.
had to go through all of this to get to a point where like
Yeah.
she couldn't hold on anymore, and I didn't want her to feel alone in that process.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always very supportive even though I did not like the relationship. I didn't like the
Yeah.
guy. I didn't think that she should be with him.
Yeah, I think that's also just being a good friend, though,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to abandon your friends over
No.
something so silly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm just so sensitive to that that I just never want them to feel like I don't support them. Even if I may not support the relationship
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the situation is, I'm always overly supportive because I want them to know that I'm there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm never going to say I told you so. I'm never going to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I definitely lean on the side of supportive, and I think you're a lot more protective. You're
Mm-hmm.
definitely a very supportive friend, like
Mm-hmm.
very, very supportive.
Thank
But once you
you.
hate a guy,
It's
you hate
over.
him, and
Yeah.
you will not like the liar, for example.
Here's the thing. I am very protective, but that doesn't mean that in a situation like that I didn't support you the whole time.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
yeah,
Is that I supported you the whole time no matter what. No matter whether you went back to this guy or got through it and got over him, which was obviously always my wish. Um and I'll make it very known. Like I'm not like I'm supportive, but I will also make my opinion heard
yeah,
if I know that it's something that's not healthy.
yeah,
If it's something that's not hurting you or not hurting anyone around you, like I most likely don't have an opinion, to
yeah,
be honest. Like I'm just like, okay, whatever. But if it's something that is hurting anyone or affecting anyone in a negative way, like I'm going to say something
yeah,
because I'm not going to sit back and watch like you get hurt over and over and over again while I'm like not saying a thing,
yeah,
like not saying anything at all. And
yeah,
so I think where my protective side comes in along with supportive is that yeah, in a situation like that with a liar, um I supported you through the whole thing, but I was also very protective because like this man, he was not good. He was not
no,
good.
he wasn't.
He wasn't at all. He has his name for a reason. I'm sure he's listening to this now, and I know that he knows that. Um, I don't think I genuinely actually hate anyone.
Yeah,
Like, if we're going to like the whole grand scheme of things, like, I don't think I actually genuinely hate anybody. But I think that my protective side, like, just comes out because I'm like, fuck you.
yeah,
Like, fuck you for making like this person in my life feel this way.
yeah,
Whether it's Kelsey or like my mom,
yeah,
even like my
yeah,
dad, my brother, my sister, like all of my friends, whoever. Like, if you're gonna come into our lives and create a negative situation, then I'm probably going to be the pit bull of the situation.
yeah, definitely.
And I'm I'm not confrontational at all. But I feel like I get to a point when situations become negative enough that I'm like, we're finished. Like,
Yeah.
we're finished with this, and I'm going to say something.
Yeah. And I think the difference between me and you in how we respond to these types of things,
Mm-hmm.
like we're going to use the liar as an example because I feel like this is a perfect example. This man, and we'll tell the full story another time, but this man screwed me over. I gave him a second chance. He screwed me over again. That was it. I did not give a third chance. But in the time between the first two chances, I was having a really hard time
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to do. I was hurt. I was confused. There were a lot of emotions. And I think what made it hard is all of my friends made their opinions very known,
Mm-hmm.
which is totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, totally fair. I would have felt the same way
Yeah.
if it were you. You know,
Yeah.
like, I would have hated this guy.
Yeah.
So I think what made it hard for me is I felt very alone. I
Mm-hmm.
knew that you would support me through anything,
Mm-hmm.
but I also knew that you hated him.
Yeah.
And you, like, voiced that. And,
Yeah.
like, anytime his name was brought up, you were like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, and which is so fair. And I think if it were reversed, I would have felt the same way.
Yeah.
But I think I would have been like, listen, do it. Like, go out with
Yeah.
him. Do what you want to do. Like, I'm here, whatever. And I think we both feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You voice your protective side more, and I
Mm-hmm.
voice my supportive side more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I
don't
would agree with
necessarily
that.
think there's a wrong or right way.
No, I don't think so.
I think that was a very hard time for me, and like, I wanted to be supported, but I also understood why nobody was supportive of that
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And I also knew that if my friends were going to be supportive, he was going to have to put in a lot of work and, like, prove
Yeah.
himself, which he did for, like, a hot sec, and then that went down the drain. So.
He didn't.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting to see, like, how, like, like, Natalie is a good example.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, like, outwardly supportive, and she was like, I really want him to figure it out, and I want it to work, and I want you to be with him if that's who's going to
Mm-hmm.
make you happy. Where, like, you and my sister were like, I don't want you to be with him because I
Mhm.
think you deserve better.
Yeah.
And you both were like, you do what you got to do. Like, if this is who
Yeah.
you want to be with, okay. But, like, I do not like him, and I do not support him in
Mhm.
that relationship. So it was just interesting to see, like, how everybody kind of felt about it and
Yeah.
handled it. And
And
yeah.
it's tough because, like, as someone on the outside, like, yeah, I can sit there and tell Kelsey, like, I don't like this man. I don't think you should be with him. Like, I know you deserve better. Like, you know you deserve better. Like, all these things. But there's only so much I can say because at the end of the day, anyone, including Kelsey in that situation, like, they're going to make their own decision
Yeah.
on what they're going to do. But in my mind, it's my duty as, like, someone's friend to tell you that.
Yeah.
Like, to tell you how I'm feeling, because I know that I come off very, very harsh sometimes, and I'm very blunt sometimes
Yeah.
too when it comes to things like that, because I think in my mind, I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And, like, it'll be times, like, I mean, I told you this, so it's not going to come as a shock. Like, I would talk to my mom about the situation because I would be so upset because you were so upset, and I know
Yeah.
that you were hurting, and I was like, I don't know what to do because I know that I'm being too mean about it. Like, I know that I'm being, like, too, like, crass and blunt, and, like, but I don't know how to be nicer because, like, if you know me, that's not in my nature when it comes to situations like this. And it was just one of those things of, like, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get why she can't see it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
get, like, why she's sticking around, why she's still talking to him, why, like, why, all these things. But at the end of the day, it's not my life, and it's not my situation, and it doesn't actually genuinely affect me.
Besides having to hear about me
well,
complain about it.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, in that, like, in your, like, your relationship doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Like, you and him has nothing to do with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit back and know that he's treating you the way that he's treating you and not say a word about it.
Yeah.
And, like, at the end of the day, in my mind, I'm like, okay, whether I was mean or not, I was truthful, and I don't make it about me. Like, I feel like I'm never like, well, I don't like him, so you shouldn't like him.
No.
Like, it's never like that.
It's definitely like a, you just care about me and want me to have
Yeah.
what's best for me.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's, like I said, like, with anyone, like, friends, family. Honestly, sometimes friends of friends.
Mhm.
Like, depending on the situation. Like,
Yeah.
I'll jump in like a pit bull like no other. Like,
You've been that way with Carly. I
yeah.
feel like my
Yeah.
friend Carly, she's been protective over, like, Carly and
Mhm.
her relationships.
Yeah. And I just, like, I think I don't know how to say it. I think I'm at a point in my life where if someone's treating you poorly and you're putting up with it, why? Why?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I view it. And I think there's just been a lot that I've been through, like, whether it's, like, in relationships or not, that has just made me realize, like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever let anyone treat me like that ever again. And I'm going to be very, very blunt and honest about it when they do. And I'm going to say, bye.
Yeah.
Like, see ya. And it's easier said than done. And it depends how many feelings you have involved and emotions and what the relationship is with this person. But it's... Here I go again.
No, you're good.
I forgot what I was saying.
Oh. I think it's really easy from an outside perspective to be like you said, like, I don't get it. Why are you still why are you with this guy? Like, what, why? But when you're in the situation, like, I had fallen head over heels for this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I was in deep emotionally, and I felt like I needed to give it a second chance for myself. I kind of knew deep down it wasn't going to work out, but I felt like if I didn't give it a try, I would always, like, wonder.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, what if he did get it together? Like, what if he really did care about me and he really did want it to work, and the first time was just a mistake, and all the things that he said. And so I knew I just had to give it another chance for me.
Yeah.
And I knew nobody would understand. Like, I knew that. But I was so emotionally invested in this man, and I couldn't accept that, like, all the things that I felt and all the things that he said and all the plans, like, I couldn't accept that all of that was just, like, gone.
Of course not.
So when he came over and apologized for 2 hours, I wanted to believe him.
Of course.
So I gave him another chance, and I gave him a fair chance, and it's not like I put all my eggs in that basket again. Like, I started seeing other people, and I was very, like, cautious about it, and when he wasn't doing what he should have been doing, I ended it. Yeah. And so I think since that moment too, I've kind of gotten more on your page about, like, if you're not treating me right the first time, I'm done. Like, I'm not putting up with it at all. And I've been a lot harsher to people.
And I think too, it's hard because, like, yeah, like, you're being harsh, but at the same time, like, I'd rather be harsh and honest rather than not truthful at all. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be harsh and honest with someone that I don't want to be talking to, and they keep talking to me, than them keep talking to me. Because I feel like that annoys me more than anything else. And I'm like, how don't you get it? Yeah. And so, like, I rather, like, no matter the situation, not just if someone's, like, still trying to, like, talk to me, but, like, no matter the situation, I'm like, I'd rather be blunt and honest with you if I know that that's going to benefit you, like, rather than not say anything at all. And obviously there are situations where it's better to keep your mouth shut than say anything about it. And I think I get to a place where I need to learn a little bit more balance with that, because there are a lot of times I open my mouth and I'm like, I should have thought through that a little bit more, or I shouldn't have said it. And I don't regret anything I've said, to be clear, about any situation. But I know that my method of communication is not always effective, and I think that's where the heavier protective side comes out of me. And it's almost like I feel it, like, take over my body, and it's almost like I can, like, feel myself, like, getting hot, you know, like, and, like, I'm just getting heated about it, because it's like I just don't understand.
I think something that could save a lot of friendships and stress and just emotions in general is communicating how 100%. Like, the type of support you want. Like, and I think this just kind of popped in my head just now, and I feel like me and you should start doing this. Hey, this is what I'm going through. I need you to just support me. I just need you to support me. Or, hey, I need you to, like, tell me what to do. I need your honest opinion. Like, I feel like understanding what type of support you need in that moment is important, and then voicing that, because your friends don't know what you need in that moment. Like, the first instinct is to be protective, I feel like.
And each situation is different. Like, this could go to, like, your relationship that you have with someone, to, like, a situation happening with your family, to just you feeling a certain way about a certain thing. Like,
it could be anything.
I feel like support comes in different ways, but sometimes you need to receive support in a certain way to make you feel better. And there definitely are versions of support that don't feel supportive, depending on the situation and how you're feeling. Like, there are like quite a few times where like I know I'm doing something that's not good for me. Like I know that. Like I know I'm like spending time with someone who isn't good for me. I know that I'm like doing this and it's not going to help me in the long run, whatever. And sometimes when someone tells me that, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, shut up.
Yeah, like let me figure it out myself. Like
Right.
I know that. I just want you to support me while I figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Someone will say that and I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
Like I should stop. Like I should stop doing whatever it is I'm doing. And
Yeah.
I knew you were right. And I've known that this is a bad decision. And like, thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
And I think it all depends. It's just very situational.
I think it goes along the lines of like when you're venting and you're like, okay, do you want me to listen? Do you want me to give advice? Like what sort of conversation do you want to have right now?
Yeah, because sometimes you just want to say everything you're feeling without any feedback.
Yeah.
You just want that person to listen to you and understand your side, and that's it.
And sometimes you just need a hug.
Even if that other... True. Even if that other person doesn't agree with your point of view, all I need them to do is listen to me, tell me they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that goes more like into like my love language with like any relationship is like, I need you to understand me.
Yeah.
Like, I need
you just want to be understood.
Yeah. Like I need you to understand what I'm saying to you, and I need you to understand that I don't want you to say anything back.
Yeah.
Like I don't need feedback.
Yeah.
I don't need criticism. I don't need what you think of the situation. I just need you to listen to me.
Yeah.
And other times I'm like, I'm telling you something and I'm like, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Like, am I overreacting?
Yeah.
Am I underreacting? And like, how should I be feeling? Because I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Like, how would you feel in this situation?
Yeah.
And that's when I want feedback. Like, tell me, because I'm confused.
And I think that's so important to communicate. Like, what type of feedback do you want? What type of conversation do you want it to be? What type of support do you need in that moment? It doesn't have to be the same all the time. Like, sometimes I want you to be the more protective side. Sometimes I want you to just be support. And I think with the situation with the liar, at that point in time, I was so stressed out and confused that I just needed support. But I didn't know how to voice that.
Yeah.
Or I didn't think to voice that. I just wanted people to understand that, but I wasn't telling anybody. And it ended in a situation where I was like screaming at my friend at brunch and like telling him to get the fuck out of my apartment. And like it was a disaster. And it's because I was not in a good place mentally deep down, and he started voicing his opinions at brunch, and like it just was not what I wanted. Like it was not what I wanted or needed in that moment, and it ended bad, and we're fine. Like we got over it the next day. There's a lot of alcohol involved in that, but I think it's just
which
important.
never helps.
No, I think it's important to understand what type of support you want, and then make sure that the people around you know that.
Yeah, but I also think too, on the receiving end of things, like it's hard to control your emotions in a situation when everything's being bottled up. At some point, you're going to blow up, regardless.
Yeah.
But you can never control how people react to you.
Yeah.
And you can never control other people's words or actions.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, obviously, take all of this with a grain of salt, like what we're seeing, because it's so easy to, like, tell you to communicate with your friend, tell you want to be supported, but sometimes there's something that's happening that you've been bottling up for a long time, and nothing really like big is going on in the moment, but you just come to a point where someone makes one comment and you blow up. And I think like at the same time it's very, very important to be responsible for your own actions.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this to you specifically in that situation because that was crazy.
That was
but
crazy.
Like, but it happens to everybody. Like something like that happens to everyone. Like I know for a fact, like I am queen of bottling up anything that I'm feeling until it gets to a point where it bursts. Like I'm queen of it. I've done it all my life. I've been in therapy about it. Still am in therapy about it. And I'm working through it. And I think I've gotten a lot better at being vulnerable. But I think it's hard, again, like on the receiving end of feedback when you're the one going through it, that it's just like at some point I'm going to react poorly.
Yeah.
And at some point, like, I'm going to be responsible for how I act.
Yeah.
Like, you're responsible for how you act all the time, but like in a situation like that, you're going to act negatively if you feel it bottling up. And it's like very, very important to just be aware of your own actions
Yeah.
and like how you're treating your friends too.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the time, how you were speaking about resentment earlier, like a lot of the time that can breed resentment too. And you're just bottling things up and not communicating,
Yeah.
where your friends or significant other or family can communicate and support you back. And sometimes it's really hard to open up and say what's bothering you, especially when it has to do with family and friends.
Yeah.
Like, if sometimes having friends and family give their feedback on a situation is so needed and so nice, but sometimes it's a little too much because, like, we're still growing up. We're 28. Like, we're gonna do some stupid shit. Like,
Yeah.
end of story. Like, we're not gonna make the right decisions all the time. And sometimes, like, all of that feedback, you're like, thank you, but like, no, thank
It's
you.
overwhelming sometimes
Yeah.
when you're trying to figure out your own emotions and how you're feeling about a situation or what you want to do, and you're confused, and then you're getting everybody's opinions thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very overwhelming. And I think that's what happened at that brunch. I was
Yeah.
so overwhelmed with my own thoughts and emotions that when other opinions were coming out, and I don't think anyone meant any harm by anything they
No, not
said,
at
but it
all.
just, like, with alcohol, they were just saying it the
Yeah.
way they felt it, and it was too much for me. And you've never
Mm-hmm.
seen me like that. I
No,
don't know if
at
I've
the
ever
at the
been
same
like that.
brunch, we also yelled at each other
Yeah,
over something else that was so
it
stupid and
was so
silly and
dumb.
small.
Anyways, if we would have been able to sit down and communicate before we went to brunch or before
Yeah.
any of this, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is how I need you to be with me. Like, I just need you to be supportive. I don't want to hear your opinion on it,
Mm-hmm.
Mooney. Like, just shut up. Don't bring it up. We don't need to talk about it. And I think that conversation would have eliminated the whole issue that happened at brunch. So I
Yeah.
think it's just important that you let your friends know how you're feeling and what type of support you need so that you don't have a blow up
Mm-hmm.
situation. So
Yeah.
basically, moral of the story, I think the bottom line is that people are going to do what they want to do, regardless of the
Yeah.
opinions of others and
100%.
advice of others. Like,
Which is
people have to
good
do their own thing,
to an extent.
but communication is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, figure out how your friends need to be communicated to and how to support them while also giving them advice and helping
Mm-hmm.
them. And I just think it's important to make sure your friends know that they can come to you for anything. And I think that if you can communicate effectively with each other, then that's like the best way. And I think
Yeah.
me and you have done this really well.
I
Like,
think so
I
too.
know there will be times where you'll be upset and I'll be like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Are you lying?" And I'll kind of have to pull it out of you. And I can
Yeah.
tell when I need to drop it and leave
Mm-hmm.
it and wait for another day. And
Yeah.
I can tell when I can kind of push you a little bit and like get more info.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you, like, do you need a hug? Do you want to do something to distract yourself? Do you want
Mm-hmm.
advice? Like, what can I do to help? And I think
Mm-hmm.
we're really good about doing that for each other and
I
like
think so too.
communicating that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've just learned that after living with each other for 3 years. And I think that's important for every friendship. Like, you just have to communicate and like
Yeah.
understand your friends and understand that you're not always going to understand their decisions and
Mm-hmm.
how they process things, and
Yeah.
you just have to be
Honestly,
there.
never will I fully understand why I make some of the decisions that I make.
Yeah, sometimes you don't understand your own like, I don't
Yeah.
know why I felt like I needed to give him a second chance after what he did the first time. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why, but I
Yeah.
did. And I'm glad I did. Like, I am
Yeah.
glad I did, because I feel like that's who I am. Like, I forgive and I give second chances, and I did what I felt I needed to do, and it obviously didn't work out, but in it not working out, it did work out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that that didn't work out
Yeah.
now. So I don't know,
That's
just
so funny.
communicate.
I just think it's so funny how differently we handle situations.
Yeah.
Like, but it's something that I appreciate so much because I feel like I've learned so much on how maybe sometimes the way that I react to situations like is not like a trauma response, but it's more of like a oh no. Mm-mm. Like
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big chance giver.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, if you do me dirty once, depending how dirty it was, like, forget it.
Yeah.
Like, there have been people who have done things to me, and I'm just like, nope. Like,
Yeah.
see ya. Like, I actually don't want to talk to you ever again. And it's so easy for me. Okay, this is going to sound bad, but it's so easy for me to cut people out
Yeah.
because I'm like, oop, nope. And that goes, like, with whatever, my own, like, trust issues, whatever. And, like, I think what I've learned from obviously being friends with you and living with you for so long is that, like, I've learned that it's not always a bad thing, or it's not like, it's more of a pride thing to not give second chances. And sometimes, like, it's good to give second chances.
Yeah.
And, like, in certain situations.
Yeah. Not all.
But, like, you're going to make that decision for yourself. But I feel like I grew up doing, like, oh no, like,
Yeah.
I didn't like that, goodbye. And
Okay. I feel like the reason I give so many second chances too is I'm just a forgiving person.
Yeah.
I believe in my core that people are good
Mhm.
and that they make mistakes.
yeah,
Where I feel like I'm like a trust until given a reason not to, and you're more of a don't trust until given a reason to.
Mhm.
I'm just wildly optimistic about
Yeah.
everything.
And I am wildly pessimistic
Yeah.
about everything.
Yin and yang. So I just feel like for me, I think about the mistakes that I've made in my lifetime. Like, I've done shitty things.
Yeah.
And that doesn't define who I am. Like,
True.
I'm definitely not a shitty person. And so there are people who have given me second chances that I'm like, I just think like, okay, I'm not perfect either. Like, I've made big mistakes that I've needed forgiveness for. So I think about that a lot when I'm forgiving people. And I don't know. It obviously depends on their, like, are they even apologizing? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna just give a second chance when they don't want one, you know?
Yeah. I think from, like, my side of things, like, when I'm, like, being pessimistic and, like, I don't trust people, like, at all, 0%, until, like you said, like, that person gives me a reason to trust them. And sometimes I'm a very slow burner because I have met a lot of liars, and I have been through quite a few situations that have taught me to be that way. And I'm not saying that that was the right response or that's healthy. Obviously, like, both have their pros and cons, like, to how we react to things. But it's so much easier for me to go in not trusting than overly trusting, because I'm not going at it in a sense of, like, I can do no wrong. Like, I'm perfect in this situation. That's not at all, like, where I'm coming from. I'm coming from like, the side of things where I have been let down a lot of times about, like, a few things, and, like, certain things that it's easier for me to not trust them. Like, it's easier for me to go into a situation.
You're protecting yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
you'd rather not have high expectations and be let down. So you go in expecting nothing, and then if they prove you wrong, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, that doesn't always happen, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like, when it does, it sometimes, for if you're like me, it gets harder, because it's like, now you have to be vulnerable, and, like, that's hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like you are so good at that, and, like, you're just so good about, like, being open because you're very trusting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, that's not always 100% great
Yeah.
either. Like,
I've gotten hurt that way big time. Like, I've learned a lot from you on, like, how to put set those boundaries and put yourself first, and, like, cut people off when they need to be cut off. And I've never been good at that. It's something I'm working on. But I think now, as I've gotten older and as I've been through experiences that have taught me lessons, it's a lot easier for me to cut people off, because like, it's very clear when people don't care about you. And it's also something that now I really look for people who genuinely care about me. Like, how I am treated is more important to me than anything else. Like, how you make me feel is way more important than how I feel about you. And I feel very strongly about that. And if you
Yeah.
don't make me feel good, and if I don't feel like you care about me, I do not trust you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to trust you. So I think that's something that I've learned over time through lessons, through people like Kristen, through therapy, through so many things. So
Yeah. I really enjoy like talking about and comparing how different we are.
yeah,
But in a good way.
it's so interesting, and I feel like we really have learned a lot from each other. Like, I feel like you've softened up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've
disgusting.
hardened up a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
But like in good ways.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, I mean, obviously who we are before each other was fine too.
Yeah.
But I feel like you meet people who make you better people, and
Yeah.
I feel like you're making me a better person for being around you.
Me too.
Oh.
That
was so cute.
That was cute. But you gotta
Yeah.
find friends like that. Like, find people who like make you better, who challenge you. Like, we definitely challenge each other.
Oh,
we
yeah.
push each other out of each other's comfort zones all the
Kelsey
time.
makes me talk to strangers, you guys.
And Kristen, like, when you get protective like that, it does make me think, like, okay, am I being too easy on this person? Like, do I need to evaluate
The
this
answer
more?
is always yes. In my eyes.
But yeah, anyways, moral of the story, communicate with your friends, be protective, but be supportive as much as you can, and make sure you understand what type of support your friends need, and be that for them.
Yeah. And obviously, like, there are exceptions. I feel like we have to say something about this every time.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up this week.
Yeah.
We kind of got into the weeds, lost our train of thought a little bit a few times.
Yeah, we really bonded.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was good.
I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us. This was like real Kristen Kelsey conversation.
Yeah, we didn't have any notes. We actually had no idea what we were going to talk about during this one. So you actually joined this conversation for the first time with us.
I feel like you guys were just hanging out with us.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was fun.
Next week we are going to do a little story time.
Yay.
I think it was a year ago yesterday.
Yeah.
Went to Big Bear to snowboard. We had
an Airbnb
nightmare. And
disaster.
It's a story. We have videos to post to go with it. It was like from the best day to the worst night to the best story. So
yeah,
we're gonna tell the full story next week. It is,
you guys. It's so funny.
It's so funny. I actually can't wait to talk about it, because every time we talk about it, we like remember other things that happen. And it's just so funny. Like, I will probably be in tears by then.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
So that's next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
We are loving doing this podcast. We hope you guys are loving it too.
Yeah.
So many like random people have reached out and said that they're listening, and it just makes us so happy. So we really appreciate all the support.
Thank you.
Be sure to follow Kouch Chronicles on TikTok, couch.chronicles, and
Instagram, couch_chronicles.
we're going to try to be a little bit more active this week in posting.
Yeah.
I had surgery yesterday, and leading up to it, I was very anxious, and I was not thinking about anything else besides it. So,
but she's alive, and she's healthy,
and surgery went well. So we'll try to be more active on social media. We'll get creative with the posts and try to make some TikToks. So follow us.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.